Product provided by Nintendo. I was wrong about Xenoblade X. Hello everybody, I am Jmulls of Jmulls Gaming. And before Definitive Edition ever came out, Xenoblade X, the Wii U version, was in my top 10 games of all time. I love the world, I love the combat despite not being good at it, and I even came to really love and appreciate the actual story that happened there. But one of my biggest critiques of Xenoblade X for the longest time has been the pacing of the story initially. Also Tatsu. Now, I had loved the actual pace of the story and the characters and the motivations and the themes and everything about the story in the back end of it. I found it to be really compelling and interesting and just overall good. But that first half, I had thought it to be too slow, with not enough interesting things going on compared to the back end, to where, to me, I had perceived Xenoblade X to be a slow start. Combine that with the combat, again, getting better as the game goes on, as you understand more of the systems in the game. You understand the pace, the flow, how to build your character. It gets better in the later parts, but initially it can be really slow just because of the lack of art you have at your disposal. But the thing I believe in now that I was wrong about was Xenoblade X having a slow start. I don't know if I believe that anymore, after having played 5 chapters of Definitive Edition. I've enjoyed the story so much more than I remember, and I had played that section of the game twice before, one like 9 years ago when the game first came out, and then again about a year and a half ago on stream. But with Definitive Edition, I've just found myself falling in love head to toe with this game, loving dang near every component and element of this game. And it's been a feeling when it comes to a game that I haven't experienced for the longest time to this degree. And I think in some small part, it's because my gaming preferences have continued to change a lot over the last couple of years. I've become more interested in the type of story that Xenoblade X just fundamentally is, more interested in the sci-fi themes and really cool plot twists that go on even in those first few chapters. And I have found myself caring more about gameplay mechanics. Not that I didn't care before, but I become far more satisfied with, in my opinion, good gameplay mechanics than I used to be. And I find myself no longer just wanting to get through to experience more of the story, but wanting to just get good and immerse myself in how this game operates. And I think it's that mindset that has made me really come to appreciate the little things that Xenoblade X does. Let's talk about the big part. The thing I'm really talking about with the title of this video, I was wrong about Xenoblade X. That is the early pacing of the story. I used to say that I viewed it to be a slow start, and that I no longer view it to be so, because I've been replaying it, and there's been like no real significant change or departure in the story as of yet in Xenoblade X Definitive Edition for me, but I found myself appreciating everything this game is doing narratively, character-wise, thematically, so much more. It's like in Chapter 1, I become introduced to the world of Mira, a world that is one of my favorite gaming worlds out there, with an incredibly interesting premise, with humanity fleeing Earth because they were caught in the crossfire between 2 warring alien factions. The aliens chase humanity to Mira, and now we have to like desperately settle on this new weird strange alien planet that becomes more mysterious by the chapter. And it's that narrative framing that I've fallen in love with so much more with this playthrough I've been doing for Definitive Edition. Learning more about the characters, I care more about the side characters this go around for whatever reason, than being introduced to an antagonist with Goetia. I can never pronounce her name correctly. Goetia. And then the actual craziness that happens in Chapter 5. I'm not going to spoil what happens, but like, my god, I knew that stuff was happening. And I knew it was coming. But I've just grown to appreciate what this story does and sets out to do in terms of its pacing early on so much more. I don't view it to be slow. I view it to be an interesting way to unravel the mysteries of this world and also of us. It's so cool, it's so fun, it's so compelling, and in my opinion, it's sci-fi done right, dang it. Just extremely interesting stakes that feel unique to me, combined with like interesting plot directions, and just the framing of what's going on here in Xenoblade X. I know how good this story gets in the back end, and I'm sure it's going to be a step up compared to before for me as well. Especially when you tack on all the new stuff that is supposedly here, I know nothing about, by the way. But I am appreciating the way that it's all unraveling, introducing more mystery on top of more mystery, then introducing more stakes. And I'm picking up on foreshadowing that I had never picked up before, and it's really cool the way they're actually handling this. Again, as of now, I want to keep this spoiler free, but like, if you know some of the stuff that is to come, and you look at the dialogue that happens in chapters 1 through 5, there's a lot more foreshadowing than I ever thought there was. Even in some of the affinity missions. And that's another thing. The way this game tackles side content, in my opinion, is second to none. It's so dang good. I love the use of affinity missions just to flesh out characters in the world and the backstories for various characters that may or may not fit in the main story by themselves, but they give you an ability to flesh out characters you really want to flesh out if you have a particular interest in them, or if you just care about the world overall and care about everything going on, you can just do them all. But like, you can pick and choose what you particularly care about and expand on those elements. I like that player agency. Again, that's not a system unique to Xenoblade X, I just think it's handled well here. And you tack on all the improvements Definitive Edition adds to Xenoblade X as an overall experience. When it comes to quick cooldown, in terms of just speeding up the pace of the combat and smoothing it out and making it far more fun and interesting, on top of how beautiful this world is to explore, on top of how fun it is to explore as well. Do I want to go through this cave filled with high-level enemies just to get to a quest objective, or do I want to jump around the mountain? That's such a funny choice, but that's how you can tackle Xenoblade X because it gives you the tools and capabilities to do so. You don't take fall damage, you can run really quickly, you can jump really high, and there's a bunch of little elements in this game that make so much more sense after Chapter 5. And it's just like, this game is really smart. That's how I would describe Xenoblade X, and one of the biggest, like, changes in my perspective about Xenoblade X. I never gave it enough credit for how smart it is, and how well put together and how well thought out it is. There's so much thought and attention to detail in the story that you can easily overlook, because I overlooked it for the longest time. I just never picked up on stuff like this. But it's so dang cool when you pick it up, because the game may not necessarily spell it out for you. It'll just say, this is how things happen to be. And it's like, oh, wait a minute. If that's the case, that explains what I can do. Oh. Stuff like, oh, that explains why I don't take fall damage. Oh. And like, whether or not that stuff actually turns out to be true, it's just really interesting to think of. It's so cool. And it's the little things like that that matter, in my opinion, because Xenoblade X clearly has a focus on side content. And when the side content is as fun and interesting and enjoyable and engaging, and when there are fewer valleys and issues in the experience because of the changes they made with Definitive Edition, it allows me to appreciate the peaks and the pros of the game all the more, because I'm not like having my attention diverted to the issues. Here's like another thing, and maybe this is just like me, I'm kind of liking Tatsu. It's like, maybe it's because I've played Xenoblade X, or I've experienced Xenoblade X for the better part of 9 years at this point, and my mind is like a survival mechanism, is just like saying, you will like the Tatsu food jokes now. For some reason, you'll start to find them charming. You'll start to actually laugh at Tatsu's quips every now and then. It's like, I feel like I'm a member of the Fellowship of the Ring being influenced by the Ring, and just like, over time, more and more my mental state is just deteriorating, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like Boromir in that regard, and I've just become so interested in everything this game is setting out to do. It's like, I've talked about this before, I feel like I'm playing Xenoblade X for the very first time all over again, and I played through this section of the game twice. When I first played Xenoblade X way back in the day, I never beat it. I got to like chapter 8 or so, or like 9, I forget exactly where, but I got around there, and because I had a really bad problem back in the day with actually finishing games, I just kind of didn't. But like, I know this story, I know these characters, I know this pacing, I know this world, and everything, every component feels like I'm playing it for the very first time, but it feels familiar at the same time. And I think this game is just really hitting me specifically because it appeals to a lot of my modern interests. I love the open world design, I love the characters, I love the world, I love the story, I love everything about it, and I'm coming to appreciate things that I didn't even appreciate not too long ago. Like heck, on the day Definitive Edition came out, I made like a beginner's guide, kind of, for Xenoblade X Definitive Edition, based on my knowledge from playing the Wii U version. And one of the things I talked about there was like, yeah, absolutely, take your time with exploring the world and all that because it's so good and so compelling, but like, maybe in the back of your mind, try and get a little bit further ahead, or like, focus a bit more on the main story to get to like chapter 6 and chapter 9 so you can unlock your skill, because it'll just make exploring the world all the more easier and fluid and quicker. for a lot of that side content. I didn't say specifically to not do side content, but I'm like, maybe you don't want to like 100% the game in every level you're at and hold off a bit for when you get the scale and flying scale. And then I started playing Definitive Edition, and like that was kind of my goal as well. I was going to do some side content, but focus a bit more on the main story to get my scale rocking, because again, I had played this game before, and then I start actually playing it, and it feels like I'm playing it for the very first time. I'm finding new routes to take, I'm finding a newfound appreciation for the story that's going on, for the characters, for the world, the music, everything. And now I'm like over 20 hours in, and I've only just beaten chapter 5, and there's so much more to do now. I'm like, I'm not rushing to get the scale anymore. I'm like doing every side quest and affinity quest I have access to, because honestly, I'm just really enjoying running around the world, experiencing all these quests before I get my scale, because I know there's going to be more content that comes online is available to me later in the game, because the game is designed like that. I just do not feel a desire or like a need or even a base want to rush through this experience. Because, like, the experience I'm having with this game is a once in a... I don't want to say lifetime, because that phrase is kind of overused. But, like, this is a special game for me. And it was obvious and apparent to me out of the gate. I think the game relays information to the player far more cohesively and understandably so than it did in the Wii U version. The UI is far better designed. Oh my god. Like, it's not even a competition, in my opinion. And things are just more understandable to me, and the changes they've made have made the sections of the game that I've already played feel fresh and new and special all over again. And I think in some way over the last few years, I've become a little bit too goal-oriented when it comes to gaming. It doesn't help that there's so many games out there that I really kind of care about, I want to play and experience. So I'm like, well, I want to beat this game, that can move on to this one, and this one, and this one, right? Like, I've gotten super into Monster Hunter lately, but also the Trail series, but also Shin Megami Tensei, but I also play Final Fantasy XIV and World of Warcraft, and it's like, can we find a way to get, like, more hours in the day and an extra day of the week? That'd be great. But, like, I think being specifically too goal-oriented when it comes to Xenoblade X could serve as, like, a detriment to your overall enjoyment. And I think if I had tackled Xenoblade X, like, the way I had initially planned to when it comes to Definitive Edition, I would have had a worse experience. I think just really slowing it down, taking my time, exploring everything, and just going off on a whim. Do this quest, and then this quest, and then this quest. Oh, I kind of want to get this weapon. I'll go get the resources for it. I think that's done a lot to just further increase my enjoyment for the game. So it's actually funny. It's like, because there's a few Xenoblade games out there, people always ask me, hey, Jmulls, what are your favorite Xenoblade games? Like, how would you rank the games? And for me, it used to be really hard for me to, like, narrow it down, but I think I've come around to my ranking being from favorite to least favorite, because I like all of them. Just, like, as a disclaimer, I like all of them. But my list from favorite to least favorite would go 2X, 1, 3. But, like, when it comes to being an actual video game, I think I prefer X over all of them. It's just, I have so much nostalgic feelings and sentiment for 2, because I played that game at the right point in my life for the first time, and it just really hit for me, and I love the story, I love the pacing, I love the characters, I love the music, I love everything about that game, but it's like, the feeling of being a video game, I prefer X. And, like, that sentiment is becoming more and more clear to me after playing Definitive Edition a bit, and I imagine it's only going to just, like, keep going up from here. Because X is one of those games that, like, the more you play it, and the more you get through it, the better it becomes. And, like, I'm at chapter 5. Well, I beat chapter 5, I'm going into chapter 6 soon-ish. And I'm, like, being really lenient with the definition of ish there, because I'm, like, want to do all the side quests first before I do that. I know Skells come online after chapter 6. But, like, my favorite combat system in all of Xenoblade, X. My favorite exploration, X. My favorite soundtrack, X. And, like, the biggest weakness I always had with X's story in comparison to 1, 2, and 3 was the pacing of the first half. And, like, that's not becoming a weakness for me anymore. I've grown to appreciate what is there, the way it unravels the world, the story. Not just through the main story, but also through affinity quests and, like, side quests and just world exploration overall and stuff like that. I really like how X is handling that. I don't view the combat to be, like, slow and cumbersome like I used to. Again, possibly because of changes made with Definitive Edition, quick cooldown being a big reason for that, but, like, still, honestly, I kind of just want to go play some Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. I kind of want to do that. But yeah, it's a really weird feeling. Things that used to be weaknesses and problems and critiques for me are becoming strengths and things that I like and appreciate. It's a cool feeling, don't get me wrong. And I'm really glad I'm able to appreciate Xenoblade X even more now. And with that, I'll call the video there for the day. I'm glad I was wrong. Thank you all for tuning in. Stay safe, have a great day. Leave a comment down below with what your favorite part of Xenoblade X has been so far, or what your least favorite part has been. Let me know. I'd love to get your thoughts, hear your opinions, and hear your perspectives. Stay safe, have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Until we meet again.